In this video, we're going to take a look at the alignment group on the Home tab in Excel 2019. So these three buttons here have to do with the vertical alignment in the cells. We've got top, middle, and bottom, and these are the horizontal alignment. We've got left, middle, and right. And we've got two options here for increasing the indent from the left side or decreasing the indent. We've got some options for rotating text, wrapping text, and merging and centering text. Okay, so let's start off. Let's select these labels over here in column A, and let's check out the alignment. By default, text is always left aligned, and you see numbers are always right aligned, and that just kind of makes sense. That's the way we always do stuff in English. And let's change the alignment, though. I'm going to set these to middle alignment, so I should have an equal amount on each side within the cell. And then I'm going to do right alignment. And now they're over pushed up against the right edge of the cell. And I actually like doing that when I've got labels on the left side like this. If you push the labels over a little bit closer to the numbers that they're referring to, it just makes the whole thing a little bit easier to read, I think, so I'm going to leave it like that. Now, I've also got some labels up here at the top. And we've got numbers in these columns that are right aligned, and the labels are all left aligned, and that looks kind of funny. They don't really line up very well, so we're also going to mess with the horizontal alignment here. So I'd recommend at least doing center alignment or right alignment here, which actually puts everything right on top of the data. So now I think it's probably a little bit easier to read this way, and I'm going to leave them like that for now. Let's go over here and to the bottom of row 1, and we just make this row real tall. And now that we got it real tall, we can try out the other alignment options, the vertical alignment option. So this will put everything up the top, this will put everything halfway down, and this will put everything down at the bottom. Obviously, that doesn't make any difference if you have rows that are not very tall. It's only if you have rows that are fairly tall that you'll even notice a difference when you select these. We've also got some options for rotating the text, and it does not do a live preview here, so we'll have to actually click on them and see what happens. So you can rotate it 45 degrees one way, you can rotate it 45 degrees the other, and you can also make it vertical, rotate it up, rotate it down, whatever. And then there's the bottom option here, which is typical, takes us to the dialog box launcher, which is something we would also have gotten to if we had clicked on the little dialog box launcher button up here in the lower right hand corner. So this takes us to the alignment tab, which is the group that we're in here, and we can set everything in here that we can set over here. We can set the horizontal alignment, and we've got a couple of other options here, but usually left, center, and right are going to be all that you need. We've got vertical alignment, and we've also got the ability to change the indent. Now, before I do this, I'm going to go back over here and I'm click on this diamond here so that my text is horizontal. And then I'm going to indent 1, and I'm going to click on OK. And this needs to be left aligned in order for that to show up. So I'm not sure what the unit is. It looks like maybe the 1 is about 1 character. So this is left aligned, but it's not quite up against the left edge. If I go back to my dialog box launcher here, and I change my indent, let's make it 5, and click on OK. And so now it looks like it's indented about 5 characters or so from the left. So you can fine-tune that if you want to. We've also got some options here, and that's what these buttons do as well. This one will increase it, and this button will decrease it. And if I do this 7 times, I've already done it twice, 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It should take me all the way back to the left edge, and it does. The other two things I've got here are wrap text and merge and center. If I turn on wrap text, it will take, and I lost my right alignment here, didn't I? If I turn on wrap text, it'll take stuff like this. See, I got percent of budget here, and we used to be able to see all of it because it was left aligned, and then the extra was going over here into an empty cell. But when we right align it, the extra is going to go over into a cell that already has something, so it's going to hide some of the text. So wrap text will basically wrap the text around onto multiple lines. Let's click on it, and there we go. So now we've got multiple lines, and that's what you usually need to do if you have kind of a long column heading like that. I mean, you can make the column wider, but if I make it wide enough to accommodate all of that text, then I've got this one really wide column, and all the other columns are quite a bit narrower, and it probably looks better if the columns are similar in height, especially if the numbers here are similar in width. So I'm going to just do a couple of undos here, and we'll get back to where we were before. We've also got a merge and center. Before we do that, I'm going to go here and I'm going to change the height of this back to something pretty close to normal. Now I've got 2 rows of text here, so I do need to make row 1 a little bit taller than all the rest of them. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to insert a row above row 1. So go over here and get your fat black arrow pointing to the right, and then right click and tell it that you want to insert. And because we've got 1 row selected, 1 row will be inserted. If we had 2 rows selected, 2 rows would get inserted, and so on. So I just want to insert 1. And Excel's going to give me a new row up here. And I didn't put a title on this, so I could show you how to insert a title. So we're just going to put the word budget here and hit enter. And I want this to be over all of my text, not just up here in the upper left corner. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of this. Now make sure that when you do this, you use the white plus sign. If you use the black plus sign and click and drag, then you get the word budget in every cell, and I don't want that, so I'm going to undo that. We just want to select. So use the fat white plus sign and click and drag. And then go up here and tell it that you want to merge and center your text. And it takes all 6 of those cells, merges them into one, and centers whatever text I had into that merged cell. Now, this doesn't have to do with the alignment group here, but it's kind of related to what we're doing here, so we're going to take a look at that anyway. We've got a styles group over here. And if you click on the down arrow on your styles group, there is, we've got a bunch of predefined colors over here, which I never use. We've got a few things up here. What I use this almost exclusively for is my titles and headings row right here. I've got 4 different options for headings. 3 of them are underlined. The 4th one is not. I've got an option for title, and I've got an option for a total row, which puts a single line above and a double line below. Well, I want this to be a title, so I'm going to click on title, and it makes it nice and big, and it changes the font for me, and looks like the way a title should probably look. Probably also want to do that on my column headings, so I'm going to select all of my column headings here in row 2. I'm going to go back up to my styles group, click on the more button here, and I'm going to pick one of these headings, heading 1, heading 2, or heading 3. Heading 3 looks like it's probably the best one given the size of the text I've got in the columns. And those I'll put a line underneath. They also make the text bold. They change the color to blue, and they put a border underneath those cells. If I've already done some formatting, like, I didn't change the font color, but I did change the alignment on these. I turned wrap text on. It does not undo any of that. It will still keep it. Okay, let's go and select all of these over here in column A, and let's go back over here. And you probably don't want underlined stuff over there for your row headings. I just think that looks funny. And let's do heading 4 here instead. And now if we click off, so those got blue, they got bold. The font was probably changed, and actually it goes back and it bases on the original font, which is Calibri is the default. And so now I've got labels here across. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this row right here, and I'm going to make that into a title row, or I'm sorry, a total row, with a single line above and a double line below. And that takes care of the options in the alignment group.